another exciting episode of the Stash Report from the Stash Project. Today is the 5th of February, 2016, and we got a little short show for you here today. Kind of that little lull between the February kits coming out as well as the March kit releases being announced, so it's not a lot going on in the show today. But there are a couple of kit announcements that have filtered in early this month. And then we've got 4 sets of wheels, are pretty much the only thing that's been released this week. So if you're into VIP wheels, you're excited. If you're not, well, just hang in there. The good stuff will come out eventually. On the kit release front, what has not actually been released yet, we have got confirmation that the BMAX Honda Civic EF3 Group A race car has shipped. So it's only a matter of time until your preferred vendor of choice, obviously the Asian ones will get it more likely before everybody else. I should not have seen a BMAX kit for sale in the United States legitimately, like in a hobby shop setting as of yet. So I'm not even sure there's a real distributor. I mean, obviously Aoshima does their distribution, but I haven't seen one around. But at any rate, HobbyLink, Hobby Search, or how to say HobbyLink Japan, because HobbyLink here in the United States is something else. HobbyLink Japan, Hobby Search, Hobby Easy, probably Media Mix out of Singapore. We should all have this kit in probably the next week, or 2 weeks at the tops. Probably will come in next week, maybe even Monday. They teased that they shipped it a few weeks ago, and they really have been pushing the fact that it's shipped and it's going to be out there. I've seen some people, I know there's one review online out of a guy in Hong Kong. It's pretty painful to watch, no offense to the guy. It's just the way it, it's a sort of a lost in translation type of thing. Somebody who's probably not a native English speaker doing a video in English, it's kind of rough. But you get you get the gist watching it. So it is about, it is out there. So it should be only a matter of time until it's actually, available to everybody. For April release, Hasegawa has announced that they're going to reissue, and these were just reissued last year, 2015 last year. So this is more of a restock than it is an actual reissue. But that's going to be the Honda Civic VTI ETI kit and the Honda Civic SEER 2 kit. So if for some reason you missed those the first go around and you haven't been able to find any recently, those are going to be reissued in April. And the one really sort of exciting kit reissue that I can tell you about is that Tamiya is going to be reissuing the Martini sponsored Alfa Romeo 155 Ti V6 German DTM car. This is was the third kit of the 4 kits in the series that's supposed to represent a 1995 team as far as what year the car is. Along with the Bosch cars, the 2 ones that are still really, really expensive to try to find on eBay and other places like that because they've never been reissued in the recent years, so they're hard to come by, quote unquote. I think the only people that made replacement livery for the Martini car was Studio 27. Because like the Bosch car and the Jägermeister car, you can get replacement decals for those through Shunko models. So if you had an original one or you found an original one, the decals were shot, $13 and you had replacements. I think Studio 27 had at one point done a Martini livery that replaces the kit decals, but I don't believe it's in production. So, you could find a Martini car, but then you were taking that chance with those 90s Tamiya decals that they would be any good. So these will, of course, be brand new, freshly printed cartograph decals in 2016, and that is going to be a March reissue. We have sort of kind of knew about this for a while because Hero Boy had put it out as a pre-order back before Christmas. However, we never really brought it up here. I think we might have mentioned it in passing back in December. We never really brought it up here because it was not sort of ever mentioned by Tamiya directly as being a reissue. So it was like, do they know what they're talking about or not? Because Tamiya usually doesn't announce things more than maybe 2 months in advance on the very long scale, and that's for like a brand new kit. So it was kind of interesting to see, them say, well, we're going to get this kit in December. And then you looked at December reissues and it wasn't there. You looked at the January, stuff and it wasn't there either. And like, I don't know, maybe they got a vendor told them something that wasn't true, but they were right. They were just not, quite, or maybe it was planned for December and things happened with we never could tell exactly where things got delayed at. But at any rate, March is now the release date for that. Studio 27, I think, might have rerun it when they did all the alpha decals back at the fall. But there is one to do the JAS Corsa version, which is the red Martini car. Looks just like the white car as far as the striping and all that stuff like that. But instead it's red, and it is a different set of numbers and drivers, obviously. The kit itself should be molded in white because the car is white, and that's just the way the Alpha kits are. The Alpha Corsa car is red, and it's molded in red. The Jägermeister car is orange, and it's molded in orange. And I have the Bosch one, and that's a white car, and it's molded in white. So it should be molded in white. But keep in mind that, the 95, 96 was a completely separate model kit, technically speaking, than the 93, 94 car that came out in the fall. It has a completely different front end, different interior, so it's literally a different kit, obviously patterned after the first one, but there's a whole bunch of different changes to it, including wheels and stuff like that, so you can't really buy this new Martini car, because it'll be cheaper than, it'll be the same price. It's like $28, but, it'll be cheaper than finding an original one. And go, it's white, so I'll do these white cars because several of the replacement decal sets are for white cars and stuff like that. It doesn't work that way because it's not really the same car. I guess that's pretty much it. Aoshima didn't announce anything at the Nuremberg Toy Fair. They showed off some things to vendors because the Nuremberg Toy Fair is not open to the public. It's only open to the media within the hobby, vendors, mostly European hobby vendors, obviously. And so they didn't announce anything. I mean, they have the Brian Wood's trailer, James Wood. Sorry, we're in a Family Guy moment here for a second. All right, well, anyway, the Brian Wood's trailer thing. But this past Sunday, not this today, because technically it's Sunday in Japan, when it's Saturday, and that would be probably right around the time you're going to watch this video. But this past Sunday that we had last week was the last of what they call the Supercar blog on Aoshima's Japanese native language blog. And because it was the last one, they teased in advance 3 Supercar tools. And so I'm trying to figure out what I can tell you about them that I know without getting myself in trouble, because recently online a picture was leaked from the sort of behind the scenes things accidentally. The person was showing a photo of something else, and something happened to be in the background that shouldn't have been there. And some people figured out what it was, and then proceeded to... Well, the picture itself sort of spread like wildfire, which was cool because it was like, hey, look, what this is, and that's cool, and, whatnot. But then a couple people picked it up, and they started really pushing what it was out there, and that was not cool. And a few people probably burned permanently their connections to Aoshima because of it. So I'm trying to, dance around that, because I'm not going to do that. I can tell you there are 3 tools coming out, and I don't know that they'll all make out 2016. One will be announced in May at the Shizuoka show. When the other 2 are going to get announced, couldn't tell you. One will probably get announced at the All Japan Toy and Hobby Show in the fall. That third one may not make it out till 2017. It really depends on where they're at project-wise. I can tell you that one of the 2 you already know about. One of the 3 you already know about. I can tell you about it because there was a display for it. One of them's going to be the Lamborghini Diablo GT. I don't think I'm telling anybody anything they don't already know there, because they accidentally displayed it, that little sort of information card, at last year's Nuremberg Toy Fair. So that's coming. That got sort of deprioritized by the kit that's going to be announced in Shizuoka that's actually going to come out beforehand. But all 3 of them are brand new tools. They are not modified tooling, things. It's not like the Murcielago and the Murcielago race car, or the fact that there's like 5 versions of the Countach or 3 versions of the Aventador. These are going to be 3 brand new tools. The Diablo, obviously a brand new tool. Both the other two are brand new tools. I can tell you that all of them are Italian, and I can tell you that one of the three of them is not a mainline Italian manufacturer. None of them are Ferraris, because that licensing belongs to Fujimi and Tamiya as far as as far as things go in Japan. It would be kind of silly for Aoshima to sort of deal with that. And I can tell you that none of them are McLarens. I know that a few people were like, "Oh, yay, McLaren." No McLarens as of right now in what these three focused tools are going to be. Now, are they going to do something McLaren in the future? More than likely, because they've also talked about the access they have to McLaren. But right now, as far as what these three things are, McLaren's not one of them. And that's pretty much it. Just hang out. Know that there are three more coming in the next 18 months. I think that's probably a good time frame for all three of them to make it out. The reason they didn't announce anything, and the reason why nothing sort of was made about it, is the fact that they're really, really focused right now on getting the Sesto Elemento out, as well as there's the Subaru Sambar fire truck that's still backlogged at this point. The GTR, the R32 GTR, and FD3S RX7 from the race fight from the initial D series that have all the new parts added to them. Those two are still backlogged. And then you have, of course, there's a few other non-automotive tools that are still due to come out. There's those 172nd scale fire trucks that haven't made it out yet. And so they're really, really focused on cleaning house, so to speak, and getting all of those All Japan and hobby and model show kits out on the market before they start worrying about what's coming next. Let's get the stuff that they have, let's get the stuff we have going done, and then we'll worry about it. So the Sesto Elemento looks like it's turning into a really nice kit. Looks like it has a completely full engine to it. People who have the Aoshima Countachs and Aventadors know that the way those kits build up, there's the oil pan that's separate from the rest of the engine. You build the engine in the little tub. That makes it very easy to swap the engine into other things, as far as the carbureted version of the Countach, the fuel injected version of the Countach, and all the rest of that nonsense. So, because the Sesto Elemento is based on the Gallardo, and Aoshima doesn't have a Gallardo tool, so there's no other thing that this can be done. The Sesto Elemento is really one of those sort of out there tools, because in the market that exists, you kind of need multiple versions of something to keep the kit going, and there is no other multiple versions. The Sesto Elemento, there are 20 of them made. They're going to make it so you can either build the prototype or one of the production vehicles. That's different sets of wheels, a different steering wheel, a couple. There's probably about 15 parts or so that are different between the two. They're going to let you build it either way. So you get a free set of wheels, if nothing else, from the kit. But there's nothing else to do with it. The Sesto Elemento doesn't begat anything. There's no, there's nothing else. The Aventador was kitted in such a way that you could share a lot of parts with the Roadster, and then it shared majority of the parts with the 50th Anniversario version. Now, I personally have been petitioning for the Aventador Super Veloz. Right now, what it looks like to me, there are a set of wheels and a real spoiler short, because all the rest of the aero panels came with the 50th Anniversario edition. I think there might be a couple of interior pieces that are different with the Super Veloz that wouldn't be covered in either the Aventador or the Aventador 50th Anniversario kit. Because remember, if you have one, or you don't have one and you don't know, the Anniversario kit has like a tuck and roll interior that's completely different than the Aventador interior, and therefore that's not a carryover necessarily. But that would be pretty much the last of the Aventador, unless they either update it or do something else wild with it, because the Super Veloz is sort of where the Aventador line ends, so to speak, because, of course, you've got the Huracan and all the rest of the other stuff that Lamborghini has planned going into the future. And I guess that's, it is what it is. I've told you what I can tell you. Go in peace. The FFXK has not been announced with an official release date yet. However, they're doing a 1/12 scale Honda race bike, and that has a release date, so I would expect this coming week, more than likely we will get a release date for the FFXK. Hobby Easy says it's April. we'll see if Hobby Link Japan and Hobby Search agree with that and what the actual release date is. Looks like right now the pricing on it is going to be about $36 to $38 for the kit itself. The decals, there's a big sheet of carbon fiber decals. Those are going to run about $5 to $7, and then there's a pretty good chunk of photo etch fret with seatbelts material. It's not really seatbelts. It's more like those weird sort of cardboard seatbelt things they give you in the other ones. Those are going to be about $8 to $10. So you're going to get the whole. If you buy the thing out of Japan or somewhere in Asia where you're not going to pay the middleman markup thing in a U.S. hobby shop, you should be able to get the whole thing shipped for less than $65. Which I'd like to pat myself on the back a little bit because never said it here, but on a couple of forums I said it'll be that price, and everybody poo-pooed me because I didn't know what I was talking about. Again, while we're sitting here talking about things I know that nobody wants to believe me, it's going to be close to $100 for that kit without the photo etch and the decals here in the United States. So buy it through Japan if you want it. 4 sets of wheels, guys. Let's look at them real quick here. These are all 20-inch VIP wheels for Aoshima kits. They're showing Crown Majestas here in the background here. These are the Leon Hardet Bugle wheels. Yep, that's what those are. These are the Varanzia F2S. These are the Werfren GT03s. And these the Club Linea L566. So 4 sets of VIP wheels. Actually, that's on a Crown Royal Saloon, or actually it's on a Celsior. It's on the 460. Would be the Lexus LS 460, but that's obviously a Toyota version of it. Aoshima did. It's kind of hard to find it. I should say the LS 430. The LS 460 is a different thing. But Aoshima did do one of these the second gen LSs. You can usually find the Celsior kit pretty easy because it's still in production, but they did a factory stock version, and they did one of a VIP version. That's not it on the box here, but I don't know. I'm a very big collector of the Lexus kits, and this is something I happen to know. This is also the LS430 second gen Celsior. That is a Crown Majesta, and that is a Crown Majesta. So, at any rate, it doesn't matter. But those are the you're getting education in Toyota sedans you don't care about. But at any rate, those are the 4 sets of wheels that came out. They're all, like I said, 20 inches wheels, tire sets. They're like $7-8 a piece. Aoshima wheels and tires. Always usually a pretty good value because you're going to get a set of decals. It'll be a generic set of decals that covers all 4 of those wheel sets because they tend to release their wheel sets in packages of 4. That way they can print a little, a decal sheet that's about this big here. The top half of this part that I'm folding, and about that big, and it'll have all the different logos for the companies and a couple license plate frames and stuff like that. Anyway, guys, it's late on a Friday night. I worked pretty diligently this week, I would say, so I deserve my my sleep for my weekend off. One thing, if you happen to be in the central part of the country, the eastern central part of the country, what we consider to be our local model show circuit will start in 2 weeks. The 20th of February will be BlizzCon, an IPMS show in Columbus. I should have wrote the website down for the show. If I remember, I'll throw it in the description. I can't promise you it'll be there either, because by the time I upload this, I'll have forgotten about it altogether. But it is a pretty automotive, attended show because of the local club there in Columbus, the Buckeye Scale Auto Club, as well as there's a big club in Cleveland, there's a big club in Dayton and Cincinnati, Louisville, Indianapolis, Pittsburgh, and whatnot. So there's plenty of automotive guys to go around. I know that our big local plastic pusher guy, the guy that if you've ever attended a show out this way, you know who he is, because he tends to take up an entire wall plus half of another wall with all the kits that he carries around with him. But I know he's going with his cars and stuff like that, so it's going to be a fairly decently attended car show as far as IPMS goes. A lot of people tend to go at IPMS shows because they associate the IPMS with military modeling, and for some reason nobody seems to think they can learn anything between the two. IPMS guys look down at the car guys. I would dare say rightfully so with some of the attitudes that are out there. And then, of course, the car guys, look down at the IPMS guys because they think IPMS guys are rivet counters and they can't learn anything. And, right, I think it's very, very ironic considering all of the things that go on with, I want to weather this car and make it look rusty and stuff like that. And then it looks like utter crap. But if you talk to that guy who does tank weathering his entire life, you probably would get something that looks reasonably decent. I'm not picking on anybody who's weathered anything, but I think we can all agree that we've seen weathered cars that rust in places that a car just wouldn't rust. Sorry, it just isn't going to happen. Cars wouldn't rust there. Water wouldn't accumulate and rust wouldn't happen. Or the people that rust Corvettes. It's a fiberglass car. It doesn't rust. Fades, but it doesn't rust. Whatever. It's your model, so you enjoy what you want to do. Just don't expect me to like it. And with that, guys, we'll see you on the other side.